Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Shammer. Nebraska lawmakers head back to the office this week. The first session of the 109th legislature begins January 8th. They have a lot to tackle, from a budget shortfall to making sure the University of Nebraska has enough money to operate, and of course other issues that are top of mind. A lot to get through in 90 days. A $432 million budget shortfall, revamping school funding, defining K-12 school bathrooms and sports to a student's sex at birth, and another try at winner-take-all for presidential electoral votes. Though there's just some of the big issues awaiting lawmakers as they return to Lincoln on Wednesday. Chronicle's Andrew Ozaki has a preview.
After several years of a budget surplus, lawmakers face a $432 million gap over the next 2 years. If it's not fixed, it could balloon to over $1 billion by 2029.
We as a state have to make sure that we're going to continue spending our money on programs that lift up every Nebraskan and help everyday people.
That will make some of the priorities set out by Governor Pillen more challenging, such as providing additional property tax relief by retooling the state's school finance formula. Soaring home valuations have reduced the amount of state funds flowing to some urban districts, increasing property taxes.
Property taxes are the #1 biggest thing that people were talking about.
Senator Kauth is also appreciative the governor has prioritized her Stand By Women bill she plans to introduce. It goes beyond limiting sports participation and bathroom use in K-12 schools to a student's gender at birth.
And basically it covers anything that the state agencies handle.
Pillen is also pushing a bill by Senator Lauren Lippincott. It returns the state to winner-take-all to decide presidential electoral college votes.
It should be a winner-take-all. It's worked well for nearly 250 years in most of the states.
Lawmakers also need to implement voter-imposed medical marijuana regulations.
Regulate it and ensure that it's done in a way that's safe and protects consumers, but we have to make sure there's actual access.
And while there are now 33 registered Republicans and 16 Democrats, senators say it doesn't mean a filibuster-proof conservative majority.
I know many people are eager to write an obituary for our beloved nonpartisan legislature, and I think it would be a misread to say that any of these issues will be decided on a straight party line vote.
In Lincoln, Andrew Ozaki, KETV, News Watch 7.
Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen is now recovering at home after a fall from a horse and several days in the hospital. He said that will not deter him from his priorities. We talked with the governor just before his injury about his goals for 2025. The days leading up to the legislative session, what are they like for the governor of Nebraska?
Be very confident that they'll see more of the same. I don't know how to change stripes. I don't know how to do things differently. Work very hard to be partners with everybody in the unicameral. I'm working very hard to be governor of everybody in Nebraska, and I'm focused on 4 words: kids, taxes, agriculture, values, and important issues around those. I think most Nebraskans want less government, and yet when we get under the rotunda, the first 2 sessions, we introduced 1,400 bills. That doesn't make sense. We have to have conversations about focusing on high-value things that Nebraska needs to be solved, and not try to solve every person's problem.
Kids, taxes, agriculture, value. Let's start with kids. Specifically, what do you want to see done?
There's a couple of things that has to happen with our kids. Mental health is on the rise. This technology is consuming our kids. So we're going to put forth legislation to make sure that there's not phones in schools and limit social media. I've not talked to anyone. There'll be some people that think that's an infringement, but seriously, we protect our kids until they're 18 from tobacco, from tattoos, till they're 20 from alcohol. We have to protect our kids. Phones in schools make no sense for education. Number 2, we've got to protect our kids until they become adolescents. We're going to work hard with Senator Kauth to make sure girls compete in girls' sports, boys compete in boys' sports. I don't want my granddaughters to be in locker rooms with boys. And most Nebraskans view that. It's important that we put that we don't assume that won't happen, that we stay proactive. So
the data shows that's a very small number of people, at least at the high school level in the state. Why should it be prioritized?
Because the values, the common sense of protecting our kids says it needs to be zero.
You are projected to hit a $430 million budget shortfall. How do you still get your property tax priorities and balance the budget?
Yeah, well, we've been working very, very hard since the federal government gave us the clip and the whammy. Just so everybody understands, it's called the FMAP, and it's Medicaid reimbursement. And because the state's doing well, the federal government is docking us $230 million a year. Number one, we intend to go have conversations in Washington about that because that's been going on for 50, 60 years, not an equitable way to do it across the state. It should be just a pro rata. It's kind of almost like our TIOSA formula, not equitable. It's got to be common sense. But what we're doing about it is we're running our state government like a business, and we're saying no to everything. We're focused on the needs of Nebraskans and improving services, which ultimately allows you to cut. We will come forth with a budget that will be negative spending, never been done in the history of the state before. We'll be spending less money next year than we spent this last year. Number one. Number two, we are simply cleaning the closets out and saying there are a lot of things that have passed that make no economic sense. So that when you're talking about a $5.5 billion budget, over $11 billion over 2 years, that's very, very doable.
In December, Nebraska cast 4 votes for President-elect Donald Trump, 1 vote for Kamala Harris. You have made it clear you would like winner take all. Is that still what you plan to propose? Yeah, I mean, you know, the people in Nebraska spoke, right? We have 33 Republicans elected to the unicameral. Tell me the last time that happened. So when you have 33 Republicans, it's really, really easy for all of us to step forward and say, yeah, this experiment that came in 30 years ago, if it was such a great idea, don't you think we'd have more than 2 states than us in Maine? So when you elect the President of the United States, it's a really important decision. We need to play by the same rules as the other 48 states. It's a real important priority. It's important we get it passed, and we got 33 Republicans. It should be a slam dunk. Is online sports betting on the table this session? I'm not sure what's going to happen with online sports betting. I think the data is pretty clear that it's costing Nebraska property tax relief probably $30 to $35 million a year. I didn't like what took place on the ballot initiative 5 years ago, but it's what the people decided. My job's to carry it out. I'm not going to champion that by any way, shape, or form, but if the people decide that, you know, I'll support it. You alluded to that super conservative majority you have in the unicameral this year. What assurances can you give that the 16 Democrats will still have their voices heard? I've met with every newly elected Democrat since the election. As I've said, I'm governor of everyone, and I sit down and listen to every conversation. And just from a historical context, I mean, I've testified at hearings in favor of bills that was carried by Democrat. Senator Wishart carried a bill 2 years ago that was really important for community-based clinical behavioral health clinics. Said no Republican governor's ever done that before. I said, well, I am, because it's the right thing to do. So, you know, together we can. That's the only way it works. Next on KETV Newswatch 7's Chronicle, the priorities for the University of Nebraska. We sit down with System President Dr. Jeffrey Gold to talk about how he convinces lawmakers to give the university the money it needs.